How's the year been?
Good.
Yeah?
Really good, actually, which is good to say.
Tell me why. I mean, it was such a successful competitive year for you last year. What's better about it this year?
I wish I knew the exact answer. I really put it down to consistency, being in the same car, same team. I think that says something. I feel deep down that that is something that is aiding to my success this year, is having that level of consistency. And I think just in general, consistency of having 3 years in the same category, same team. The third year, everything's settled in really nicely. The year started a bit funny for me, obviously, being told that I wasn't able to run with Paul. It threw a spanner in the works to start with, I'm not going to lie. I was a bit nervous, I was lacking confidence. So I told myself that I had to put my big girl pants on and I've really focused in on my trouble areas.
When the visor goes down, how much does Renee Gracie change?
Not as much as she used to. She's cool, calm and collected now.
Does that come with age? What is that?
I think so. Younger Renee used to get very aggro, I will say. I was quite aggressive, but now I am so happy to be here. I wish that my first chapter was like my second chapter.
Really?
I do. There was not much enjoyment in the first one, I will say. Towards the end, there was zero enjoyment, especially at the very, very end. I didn't enjoy myself, I didn't have fun, I lacked confidence. This is what I love doing, and taking those few years away and stepping back made me realise that this is my passion and I really do love motorsport so much. When I first came back to this, my goal was just to do a year, and I was happy to do a year. The second year came, and I was happy that I was doing the second year, and now I'm in my third year. I'm so happy that I'm here, and I can't believe I've done 3 years.
What is it about the GT3 class, the SRO events and so on that has brought you back?
I love the long races, the track time, the strategy, the games. You can see it playing out in front of you when you're on the track, and it's really, really cool. You can see when they're going into the pits, you can see when the boys have come out, you can see if you've had to give time up to somebody, you can see what that 15 seconds or 5 seconds look like, and you go, right, I've got to close this gap. You can see things happening in front of you, and it is really fun, it's really enjoyable. I'm getting excited and sad all at the same time because I don't want the year to end. I wish we had 6 more races. I wish it didn't have to finish so soon. I really, really just want to copy and paste and hope that the end of my year is as good as what the start of the year has been.
She is doing a super job. Fittingly, we are out the front of the Melbourne Performance Centre garage. Greg Rust and Chris Stubbs with you ahead of qualifying for GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. You can hear the cars starting to fire up. They're about to roll, and I think there's a couple of sprinkles of rain too, Stubbsy.
Yeah, that's it. And we have got some of the best races in Australia, without doubt, coming up in this next session. So the car beside us here, Brock Feeney, he's subbing back in. So the Supercars Championship leader, if you don't mind, not a bad super sub. Will Brown unavailable with other commitments this weekend alongside Brad Schumacher. They're chasing down the Ferrari of Jackson Evans, another Supercars driver alongside Elliott Shute. On this side of us, Ryan Wood, a race winner in Supercars this year. So Audis, Ferraris, McLaren, you've got the lot. Aston Martins there. There's been a driver change too. So there's so much to look forward to this session. And when you add water, look out.
Well, we're going to add to that mix too, that story. A former Bathurst winner in Lee Holdsworth is back with a good mate in Mark Seeney in the Audi. They were immediately quick in practice too yesterday as well, weren't they?
Super impressive. A local guy. Lee's done plenty of laps around Sandown, but always great to see him back in a car. And we need to really make a real tribute this weekend. We are all racing with something bigger in mind, being Tim Miles and his recent passing. You've been involved at his memorial service in recent days, as a number of this paddock has. Big tributes coming tomorrow in the afternoon, aren't they, Rusty? But the cars do have something of note on them.
They do, a very special sticker to remember a mate. Nice to see a crowd that have gathered here at the back of the Audi Sport Customer Racing Garage. All sorts of memories, mementos of a guy who made a hell of a mark on our community, on this category in particular. Tragically, he left us just over a fortnight ago in a cycling accident. He loved motor racing. Our thoughts at the moment very much with Tracy, his lovely wife, and their daughters Erin and Kaylee as well. A minute of noise, fittingly, coming your way to remember Tim Miles tomorrow. Cars are about to roll out. He would want to race on. That's our focus here. We're about to go qualifying. Brock Feeney, as Stubbsy said, in his Red Bull Ampol racing attire, but at the wheel of the Audi that he shares, the Kelso electrical Audi with Brad Schumacher. They come in on 96 points, trailing Jackson Evans and Elliott Shute, who you mentioned, by 22. Jaden Ojeda and Paul Lucchini both on 71 points each, but they were fastest, as you know, in pre-qualifying yesterday. Let's get into it. Cars roll out of the lane to commentary. Here's Thomas Randall, and alongside him, the voice of the sport, here's Richard Craill.
Rusty, thank you. Appointment viewing the GT World Challenge powered by AWS this year as we launch in to the second half of a compelling 2025 season. We started at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. We moved to Sydney Motorsport Park where the Ferraris were crushingly dominant, and then Audi fought back up at Queensland Raceway. I wonder if Sandown is the turn of Mercedes AMG to shine. Last November was the last time a Merc won in this category, or perhaps something from left field, perhaps. And Aston Martin could be on the cards for this weekend. 2 qualifying sessions of 15 minutes apiece coming your way for GT World Challenge Australia. Jackson Evans and Elliott Shute have been the form drivers in the category, but double poles at QR last time out, 1 each for Brad Schumacher and Brock Feeney. Thomas Randall put them in a really good position coming into Sandown, and the ever-evolving story of top flight GT racing in this part of the world is set for another twist this weekend.
I think so, Crailsy. Good morning to you and good morning everyone tuning in. This is qualifying 1 for the GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS, and like you just touched on, just came from Queensland Raceway, which turned out to be a bit of Audi territory, taking out race 1 and race 2, and then Sydney Motorsport Park, that Arise Racing Ferrari of Evans and Shute winning both races, which we don't normally see with the compensation pit stop times that are added as a success compensation. So they've got a bit of a healthy buffer over Brock Feeney and Schumacher, but that combination is ultra strong, like Rusty touched on. He is the championship leader in the supercars, and he will be aboard that Audi for this qualifying session. So this is all the pros in the Pro-Ams that will be out in this session, and those Pirellis, they're going to want to get those things up to temperature because it's pretty cold out there, Crailsy.
Well, and much to your chagrin, I'm sure, Brock Feeney, the best qualifier in the nation at the moment.
Yes.
He has been in peak form, but it doesn't matter if it's a 888 Camaro or a Melbourne Performance Centre Kelso electrical Audi, because he's equally good in both of them. He is something of a GT star, Brock Feeney, and if he wasn't a gun in supercars, I'm sure he could pursue an international career. A few names to welcome back this weekend that Stubbsy and Rusty touched on. One of them is the great Mark Seeney in the Hallmark Property Group car, and with Mark comes former Bathurst 1000 winner Lee Holdsworth, a great addition, and Lee was really quick yesterday. And we welcome back, after missing the most recent round, the Wolfbrook Motorsport Audi R8 of Steve Brooks from Christchurch in New Zealand, and along with him comes young Ryan Wood, Walkinshaw Andretti United supercars driver, and I saw his boss Brucey Stewart out here floating around in the paddock yesterday. So they're going to be another really strong combination. They missed the round at Queensland Raceway because Brooksy was racing at home. He was racing in the North Island Endurance Championship in his native New Zealand. He's keen for Hampton Downs, the final round of the championship, and there is the Wolfbrook car heading into turn 1. We also welcome back the 111 Racing Mercedes AMG. Darren Curry and Grant Donaldson are here this weekend, and we're looking forward to Jamie Day, the Brit, being behind the wheel of the Aston Martin GT3 car from Volante Rosso, sharing with the birthday boy, Liam Talbot. The champion in GT racing has a birthday today.
Happy birthday, Liam. I'm sure the best birthday present will be a pole and a win for that car, so he'll be behind the wheel of that in the not too distant future. And like you touched on, there's been a driver swap there in the pro class, or the pro side of things, with Jamie Day aboard that car, the teenager, and having his first taste of Sandown in GT3 machinery. So very much looking forward to seeing what he can do. And all day yesterday was dry, so at the moment these are conditions that they do know based off yesterday's practice, all barring there is a bit of a wet line offline. So just trying to keep these things on the racing line, and everyone's still just trying to get tyre temp, brake temp. That's so important with these Pirelli tyres, without trying to scrub the tyre too much, because the fastest lap times, Crailsy, are going to be right at the very end of this session.
Pole positions this year. The first race went to Porsche, with the international import Dorian Boccolacci for EMA Motorsport grabbed pole position there in race 1. Elliott Shute grabbed pole position for race 2. Arise Racing then dominated qualifying at Sydney Motorsport Park. Jackson Evans on pole in qualifying 1 there, and Shute in the second qualifying session. And then, as we touched on at Queensland Raceway, 1 apiece for Brock Feeney and Brad Schumacher in the 2 qualifying sessions. Mercedes AMG yet to feature on pole position this year. It's been locked out between the Ferrari and the Audis, with that one pole for Porsche in the opening race of the season as well. So if you haven't followed GT World Challenge Australia qualifying before, it takes some time to build up to the lap time. This Pirelli tyre likes to be brought in gently, and you build up towards it as you climb towards that ultimate peak lap time. Then when you do that lap time, you get a couple of goes at it. You can do 2, probably at Sandown, 3 push laps. So you can attack for a couple of laps in a row before you run out of that beautiful new tyre game that you get in qualifying. So expect the times to come late in this 15-minute qualifying session, of which 5 minutes are already gone. Lee Holdsworth the quickest at the moment, but only 1 minute 13.3 his lap time. We're going to see something, if it stays dry, in the 108s for pole position today. Yeah,
prime conditions on the racing line. Cool, dry, and relatively low fuel, albeit the fuel will be a bit lower for the second qualifying session with brand new Pirelli tyres. Everyone, like we said, just bringing them in. This is a cracking shot from the drone over turn 6. Bit of a surprise maybe for the drivers there. So there, as we followed Lee Holdsworth through Dandenong Road, and just wanted to touch on who's rejoining us this weekend. Jordan Love.
Yes.
As Aaron Love subbed in for him at Queensland Raceway. Jordan had some commitments in the JMR Corvette over, I think it was Buriram?
Yep, in Thailand. They had a really strong weekend there for Johor Motor Racing, a team that's had success here in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS as well. Yeah, pretty good when, you know the phrase, keep it in the family. Tap the brother on the shoulder and go, okay, mate, I need you to super sub for me. It turns out the brother is a very, very good racing car driver. So that's a good combination. Right, attack laps now. They start to push on. You can see the attitude from the Hallmark Property Group car, driven by Lee Holdsworth, as they got the car stopped for turn 1 under the bumps, and he's now pushing on. He's been followed by the Arise racing car of Jackson Evans, the Kiwi, who hails from originally the South Island, of course, Pacific Island heritage. It's a great story, full-time supercars racer as well. And he is attacking, that is the championship leader. Over the hill, massive commitment at turn 6 to turn the car in, using all of the aerodynamic downforce that these cars have gotten off is Alex Peroni.
I think that's turn 4, maybe?
The Tasmanian is a long way off the road, correct, Thomas Randall, and that will bring out a red flag just as they started to attack, and he has gone off very quickly on driver's right and impact into the tyre bundle at turn 4.
Yeah, I reckon he's got a wheel on that painted curb, the ripple strip, and then from there on he's just a passenger crazy. You know, with all that rain overnight, you're not stopping the car on the grass. In fact, it basically speeds up as he's hit the wall there, and a bit of damage there you go to the front bar of the car. So I reckon he'll be able to get that back to pit lane if he can get it out of the grass. But whether or not that's done just superficial damage, it's actually sort of pushed the top of the bonnet up as well. So I'd say, you can even hear it scraping there on the audio. I think he'll just have to bring that back slowly and potentially be parking that car for the rest of the session. It looked like decent contact with the tyre barrier, didn't it?
Well, it sort of slid along the Armco and then into the tyres. The Armco might have saved it there from a full-on frontal impact without reducing any speed. The good side to this is that it will be a short red flag interruption, but man, they're going to have to hustle right at the end. This team, BRM, ACM Finance sponsored Audi.
Yeah, so I think he's just got that exit curb, and that'd be wet as well, and on the grass, passenger straight in the wall. Rusty?
Just down at Arise Racing, Jordan Love, obviously very busy from a driving perspective with Aaron Love at the moment. Hey, we've got Trans Am on the bill a little later today, and you and the Marcus Ambrose team had a pretty good showing yesterday. Well done.
Yeah, qualifying was good. Made a good step forward in the car and myself after practice. So to kind of put all of our learnings from our couple test days in Darwin and get a good qualifying result makes it just that little bit nicer to go into today and tomorrow, knowing that we don't have to race forward as much. We can just race the guys around us. So should be good. Just kind of looking on for the big break here. See how they do.
I mean, you're a racer through and through. You've kind of gone back to basics a little bit. It's nice to come and just enjoy this, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, jumping between a few different cars of Trans Am's obviously as basic as it can get, opposed to something like a Ferrari, which I drove in QR. And handed it back to the big bro. So just jumping between the two, but also really focusing on myself and trying to learn as much as I can this year, stepping away from supercars. So it's all been so fun so far, and we'll keep on going along.
Good on you. Enjoyed the Trans Am racing this afternoon. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
There you go. And just over his shoulder, we'll keep talking here. Can we have a little? Scott Sinclair's got the headsets on. I'm not sure if we can have a word to him at the moment because he might be talking with drivers just to get a sense of how we're going. Can we have a quick word? How are you going here? Firstly, are you enjoying? I mean, you've been working on the stats and data side at supercars, but back on the cans this weekend.
Yeah, it's good fun actually. Really good fun. These guys, I did a race with them at Phillip Island earlier in the year. It was really good. Hang on, we're going now. We're on here.
Right, okay, I'll leave you to it. There you go. Okay, there you go, guys.
Best laid plans, Rusty. Thank you. He's a busy boy, Scott Sinclair. Tall individual as well, but great brains trust down there at Arise Racing. So Team BRM will go to work on the ACM Finance car. They've qualified second on 3 occasions this year, Mark Rosser and Alex Peroni, and of course won race 2 at Queensland Raceway. So they're our most recent winners in GT World Challenge. You can see Mark just on the screen pointing to the front of that car. Focus now will be to try and get Peroni out for at least 1 lap, or he is going to qualify right at the back of the field, but more importantly get the car right for Rosser to take over for qualifying 2, which comes after a 10-minute break after this one, and Peroni getting out. So they're going to focus on getting that car patched up and hopefully good for Rosser to drive it in the second session so they can qualify somewhere towards the front.
It's obviously done
might not
damage,
happen. Yeah, damage to the radiators potentially on that car, cooling lines at the front. So they've got some work to do down at Team BRM. Hugely capable outfit based out of Adelaide. So if anyone can do it, they can, but it's a quick turnaround. We're back to green. 4 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock, which means you will have to attack from lap 1. There's no time to mess around.
And the risk of another red flag, Crailsy, because the clock keeps counting down. There's no red flag stoppage time in GT World Challenge Australia, so they're going to want to get these laps down as fast as possible. And just on that Rosser Peroni car, qualifying 2 will commence at 11:40 local time, and that's only about 13.5 minutes away, and that it's clearly punched back to the radiator. There was a lot of coolant underneath the car, so that's going to be front-end repairs, significant front-end repairs for that team. And can they do it?
I wonder if this weekend we talk about drives from behind for Peroni and Mark Rosser. Capable enough to win from the back, no doubt. And at least they won't have any compensation time, potentially, although they're most recent winners, so they will. As we build up for this, before we get into hot laps, here's Stubbsy.
Yeah, thank you. Just here alongside the rather busted up Audi of Alex Peroni and Mark Rosser. So Team Boss and Mark just having a chat at the moment. Mark, I'll jump in now if I can. He's just trying to find out exactly what's going on here in terms of the repair and what's allowed and what it means for the next session. Can you give us an update?
I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think we're allowed to repair it during the session. So I think I'll probably begin to qualify. The radiator's broken by the look of it, so there's a bit of water coming out there. So I guess we'll have a couple of tough races ahead of us.
Mark, we're going to try and put a silver lining on this. The form coming here, the efforts of yourself and Alex, QR, the win. We can see the stickers inside on the dash there. It's been, at times, some really good fun between you.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems a long time ago now. So I'm more looking forward to a good performance this weekend. So, yeah, I guess we got the 15-second penalty, so we probably weren't really in the mix for a great result for the first race. Yeah, see what we can do on the second one.
Mark, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So the comment there about the 15-second penalty, we know in our GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS Racing, if you win, you cop 15 seconds at the next race. So that's just a double whammy, isn't it, for these guys?
They'll focus everything on Sunday, Stubbsy. Thank you. Right, let's see some lap times across the line. Jaden Ojeda, a 9.8, a 109.2 for Jackson Evans, beaten by Jordan Love. Ferraris go 1 and 2. George King in the Tagani Autosport Guy Valmont Racing Mercedes AMG goes 4th. Holdsworth 5th. Theo Kanduris 6th. Darren Curry next as Holdsworth goes up a spot, actually. He was just behind that group of cars in the Hallmark Audi. He's gone to 4th. Brock Feeney's first flyer is P6. A minute and a half to go. If you've started a lap now, you'll get this plus 1 more. If you haven't, you're going to run out of time. Jordan Love, right now, the man to beat.
I'm surprised how close behind the Ferrari is of the Mercedes. I would have thought you want a bigger gap than that, because the closer you get, if you're too close, you'll get a bit of aero wash. So Evans is right in behind that 66 of Ojeda. I would have thought he'd want just a bit more of a gap, because there is a nice gap there behind Evans to Love, and Love on this lap has set purple to the middle sector. So these Ferraris in these conditions on this track are really showing the form at the moment.
Across the line goes Ojeda, goes quickest, but immediately beaten by Evans, who's immediately beaten by Love with a 108.46, 3/10 of a second. That's the difference for Clean Air. The Skippy on the front bonnet of that Ferrari 296 GT3 car. Darren Curry in the 111 car, currently fastest in the AM class, as Ryan Wood goes to 4th in the Audi. Holdsworth to 5th, Feeney 6th, but yet to fire, and he's going to leave it late. There's 20 seconds to go. The pros winding up. They'll be on their final lap now to determine the grid. This has set the grid for race 2 in GT World Challenge.
Love's gone even quicker again in the first sector, and Evans, this is not a personal best. I just think he's just too close behind Ojeda. When you've only got a couple of laps, I would have thought you wouldn't want to be sitting too.
But he didn't have time, Tom, to bail from a lap and just get some space. You have to attack because they had so little time. The checkered flag is out. This is it. All or nothing. Is it Ferrari, Mercedes AMG or Audi at Sandown in qualifying 1? Ojeda across the line goes 2nd. Evans doesn't improve. Jordan Love does though. 108.2. It could be his first pole position in GT World Challenge Australia. George King jumps up to 6th place for Tagani. Across the line goes the 111 racing car. Darren Curry, nice job up to 9th. Theo Conduras 10th. AM class pole going the way of the 111 at the moment.
Here comes Feeney.
Any improvement? Championship contender Brock Feeney, only P6. 1.1 seconds back. They have not got it right today. Paul Stokel goes 9th. Trophy class contender beats all the AM cars. Jamie Day in the Aston Martin goes 7th in car number 1. 1.3 seconds off.
And here's a replay. Who's gone off?
Ryan Woods with a big moment on the run to Dandenong Road. Spin, spin, spin.
And he's been able to keep it going.
Well, the overnight rain, I think we've touched on this today already, has compacted that gravel track, and they're able to drive out, which is so rare at this venue. Normally you end up buried down there. So Jordan Love, for the first time this season, a brand new pole sitter in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, does it by 1/10 of a second over Jaden Ojeda, who's yet to score a pole this season. 2nd on the grid for the Mercedes AMG. Jackson Evans in 3rd, Lee Holdsworth 4th, and then Ryan Wood, despite the spin at the end. King and Feeney next. The trophy class pole to Paul Stokel in 9th. Darren Curry, 111 Racing. Welcome back to the Merc team. Awesome job. Pole position for them in front of Ben Schutz in the 16 car. And then Theo Conduras in the AM class championship leader Rene Gracie, 13th and 4th in class, and only a couple of tenths separating them. In these conditions, the Audis have struggled, the Ferraris have come to the fore, and in an action-packed, short, sharp qualifying session for GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, the Ferraris set the pace early, and then they set the pace late as well.
They did. Jordan Love with that stonking time at the end there, nearly 4/10 of a second over Ojeda, and this was that moment for Alex Peroni, which brought out the red flag and will most likely see them starting from the rear of the field for both races, because that did radiator damage and no repairs allowed during the session and not enough time to get that thing out for qualifying 2. So such a shame for them after their recent victory at Queensland Raceway. As the field got back underway, this was that moment for Ryan Wood right at the end. He's going to start in position number 5 for tomorrow. I just want to touch on Lee Holdsworth. What a cracking job. The fastest of the Audis, 4th outright on his return to GT racing.
Hasn't driven the car since the Bathurst 12 hour at the start of the season, Thomas. A huge job for Lethal Lee. Great stuff in qualifying for GT World Challenge. The best thing is we get to do it all again. We'll hear from the pole sitter after a short break from Sandown.
Well, we are just moments away now from the second of the day's qualifying sessions for the GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. At the moment, the rain is holding off, but the radar is suggesting it's not too far away from getting wet and wild at Sandown. From our first session, pole position, Jordan Love. Jordan, thanks for joining us. Congratulations. Talk us through it.
Yeah, obviously super happy with that. As you said, if you had asked me yesterday, I would have put money on it that it was going to be wet this morning. So, yeah, it was kind of the guessing game all morning, as not if it's going to rain, but as to when. So, yeah, we were the session was a bit mixed. You know, we rolled out and the cars take quite a while to get tyre temp up, and we kind of just got the tyre temp going. We were about to push and then had the red flag. So when we went back out, we knew it's time. We just got to go and see what we got. And yeah, the car was mega. The guys at Arias, we've really been chipping away this weekend, and yeah, the car was mint. So yeah, pretty happy with that.
And how much of the secret sauce is Scott Sinclair? Now, Greg Russ went to speak to him before, but he had to quickly get back onto the headset. Is he taking a bit of the credit?
Yeah, second time I worked with Scotty, it's good to have him back. Obviously, so experienced, and yeah, obviously these cars are not really what he's used to, but yeah, obviously he's got a wealth of knowledge, and it's great to be working with him, that's for sure.
So what's the messaging to Steve? He's just jumped in the car now, he's ready to go.
Yeah, just keep it on the black stuff, really. Yeah, no, Steve's chipping away. Obviously, his first time here. It's his first year back racing in a while. So, yeah, just chipping away at it. He's doing a really good job. And, yeah, I think if we can work on a few things that from yesterday, then that's a win for us.
Just finally, the pace from it. In terms of the 4 different manufacturers we've got involved, 2 long straights around 900 metres. Where does the Ferrari find its pace here? Is it the straights or in the corners as well?
Yeah, well, it's a really tricky one. You know, usually the Ferrari, it's super good in the high-speed corners. So here we really only have one, but with the bumps, it mixes it up a little bit. So, yeah, at the moment, the car's tuned up to really be fast in a straight line, and we kind of just pray for the rest, really. So, yeah, it's a tricky track for the Ferrari, but obviously we got some speed out of it, which is good.
Some great insight. Thanks, Jordan.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right, let's get this session underway. This is qualifying 2 for GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, Richard Crail and Thomas Randall.
Well, thank you, Stubbsy. And this will set the grid for race 1 this afternoon, and will be the AM drivers of the 2-driver combinations in the field. Ferrari's 10th GT World Challenge Australia pole position scored by Jordan Love. His first in the category. Great racing family. His mum, Nikki, heavily involved in both the boys' sport, and Ian Love, the dad, a touring car privateer from the West back in the 80s and 90s, now Wanneroo Raceway. So fantastic motorsport heritage over there in the West, and the Love family. Great to see them continuing to race. Jordan's a super driver, and now we see what Stephen Wyatt can do, because he's behind the wheel of his car, one of the 2 Arise Racing Ferraris on the grid this weekend. There will be a 3rd Ferrari on the grid at Hampton Downs, final round of the championship over in New Zealand in November this year, Tom Randall, because Zagami Autosport will join the field. They're regulars in monochrome GT4 Australia, but they've got a Ferrari. It's landed in Australia. They're going to start a testing program, and they're going to roll out. Driver combination yet to be formally announced, but it's going to be very good.
It's very exciting. I was actually wondering if that was going to be a Richard Crail Motorsport entry.
Negative, Thomas. We're a little way away from that level of operation right now. Thank you for thinking of us, though. And I've got your CV. You sent it, so I've filed it. Thank you. So qualifying 2, again, 15 minutes. Another set of Pirelli P0 tyres available. I wonder, Thomas, do you keep the same set on that have got some inbuilt tyre temperature, or is the best taken out of them, and do you go through that process on a new set and start from scratch?
Given that it's pretty much proper dry now, barring, you know, a little bit off track or off the racing line, I would say it'd be better just to put another new set of tyres on, which is what we've seen in the past. Queensland was a bit tricky because it started out wet, and then it dried up, whereas here the sessions have been pretty consistent. So I would say most would have elected to go to a new slick, because you do get a couple of sets of green or sticker tyres, as we call it, the Pirelli tyres. And what's interesting is what got noted during the break on race control was car 66 not leaving the pit lane in the correct order. So they've been given a drive-through, which I believe they're just serving right now. So that's, in fact, might help them slightly to get them in a better track position. So that was Paul Lucchini now behind the wheel of that car, and Ojeda qualified that for the front row, position number 2, as we just saw. And Elliott Shute taking over in the 26 Ferrari. Plenty of pace in those Ferraris, and I'm keen to find out from Jordan love actually what the differences are that he feels between the Corvette that he drives overseas and the Ferrari that he races here in Australia.
It's a good point, and similar philosophy of cars now, because the Corvette has evolved into being a mid-mount, rear-drive, mid-engine, low-slung sports car, much like the Ferrari. Corvette remains normally aspirated, the Ferrari turbocharged V8 power, but otherwise quite similar. Fascinating comparison. That's the world of GT3 racing, and all of them are competitive against each other. Here's Brad Schumacher, grabbed pole position last time out at Queensland Raceway. He's in the title mix. The Audis weren't particularly strong in qualifying one, so let's see if they can bounce back, and he's been a leading contender so far. But as we saw in the first session, they're taking their time to build up, phase the tyre in, and then attack for a couple of really aggressive push laps when it's at its absolute peak. There's Liam Talbot, number one on the door, the champ in GT World Challenge Australia, and what better way to celebrate your birthday than to bolt some new Pirellis on and get the 3.2 Ks of Sandown Raceway to yourself, plus 13 of your closest mates, and go and qualify and drive an Aston Martin GT3 car as hard as you possibly can. And he's starting to press on. He's just set the fastest first sector of any driver in the field so far.
The birthday boy, that is Liam Talbot. See how he can go. He had a cracking run down at Phillip Island in that second race where it started to rain. He was a demon when it started to rain, and got that thing, and they finished, I believe, in second place after starting towards the back end of the field. So these sort of conditions are probably favourable for him. Rusty?
Thomas, just on your point that you and Rich have been making in relation to a couple of laps required to get these Pirelli tyres to that perfect, that optimum operating pressure and temperature. Noticed a little bulletin before from our colleagues at SRO in relation to this afternoon's GT4 and GT3 races about 2 formation laps before they set off. So a little update for the competitors and for fans watching there as well. We are being teased, guys, as far as the rain is concerned. There are tiny little droplets falling here in the lane, but not enough to worry us at the moment, but it's about, put it that way.
So attack early, Rusty, I think is the modus operandi for this session. 1:10.7 for Liam Talbot, so still a couple of seconds away from where the pros were. The interesting thing that we've seen in World Challenge this year is the gap between the pro driver and the Pro-Am. So the professional factory works, paid racing car driver versus the guy and or girl that does it for fun, does it for the enjoyment and the sport and the competition. The gap between them is getting smaller and smaller every round. The pros lift the Pro-Ams up and they find lap time and they get closer and closer. So if we saw a low 108 for Jordan Love, I wonder if Liam Talbot can get in the 108s and get within a couple of tenths of that. That's their goal. They want to do that. They want to match their pro. And the combination in GT World Challenge that can be the most evenly matched between pro and Pro-Am are the ones that are going to get success the way these races play out. A little bit of traffic being negotiated. Stephen Wyatt in that Arise Racing Ferrari that grabbed pole in qualifying one, getting gobbled up by a big bunch of cars all locked in together. There's some cars in clear racetrack. Donaldson's just crossed the line in the 111 car and fastest in the AM class in front of Renee Gracie. Matt Stupas is behind the wheel of the KFC number 24 Audi, sharing with Paul Stokel and the Triple Australian Drivers Champion. Great to see him back in the paddock. Still as fast as he always has, and was part of Renee's excellent season last year in her car before she has gone solo this season.
What's interesting, Crailsy, is that at the moment, yes, there's still 8.5 minutes to go, but the Ferraris are both 12th and 13th in the timing charts at the moment, and in Q1 they were 1st and 3rd. So whether it's just a case of them just trying to bring this tyre in a bit slower, or if they're maybe not as comfortable as the other guys out there. But it is interesting. It's basically a flip on what we saw, albeit 20 minutes ago.
Elliot Shute has 2 pole positions this season. We know he can do the job, the young West Australian, a graduate out of Arise Racing's Radical program into their Ferrari GT3 car, and he has delivered championship leaders. And as we talk about it, fortunately for us, he's just gone fastest in the middle sector, which is the run from turn 4, just the exit of turn 4, all the way around to Dandenong Road. So most of it is absolutely flat to the boards, or in this case, the carbon fibre, and drive the thing as hard as you can in a straight line and attack turn 6, that middle sector, just 17 seconds. So we'll follow the Ferrari lap and see where Elliott rolls. 7.5 minutes to go in the session. Talbot going quickly as well. Here's Sergio Perez in the Guy Valmont Racing Mercedes AMG. Serge had a little off in practice 1 yesterday down at turn 1. Went a little bit beyond the braking marker and rode the car up on the wall, actually, but only superficial damage to the right front corner. The Tigani Autosport team had that turned around quick smart and back out for practice and pre-qualifying later on yesterday in the evening. And Perez goes second with a 1:10.5. Good lap for the Sydney-sider. Talbot improves.
And Schumacher
goes second. So Talbot with a 9.8, almost matched. It's 4 1,000ths of a second between the two old GT World Challenge rivals.
And if you're just joining us on our coverage this morning, we are missing one car, the 268 Audi of Alex Peroni and Mark Rosser. Alex had an off in qualifying 1 and a little bit too much damage to get that car repaired for qualifying 2. So Mark Rosser unable to take part in this qualifying session. Unfortunately for both races, they will have to start from 14th position.
Just saw a great shot of the 111 Racing Mercedes AMG. Grant Donaldson has just been bumped by Elliott Shute, who went 3rd with that lap we were talking about, but he's 4th and leading the AM class, 4th outright, 1 minute 10.3, only 5/10 of a second away from Liam Talbot's best of the session so far. 6 minutes to go. Schumacher flying in the Kelso Electrical MPC Audi. Can they turn around a disappointing qualifying 1 where Brock Feeney was 6th and deliver another pole position this year? 3rd car in the queue. Number 2 on the windscreen turns to number 1, and Schumacher goes quickest by 2/10 of a second.
A nice lap there from the 888 Audi of Schumacher. I was speaking with him this morning, just wishing him luck for the weekend, and he said, I really want this one. So this would mean a lot for Brad Schumacher if he could not only grab pole position here, but clinch a race win. So this will, that's very wide there for the 47.
James Konduras, Superbarn Supermarkets, Mercedes AMG GT3. Elliott Shute is flying. Quickest of anybody across the lap so far. Following him is Steve Brooks in the Wolfbrook Motorsport car. So he is very much on the money in his Audi. So as the sessions evolve, the R8s have started to come alive. Schumacher going on with it as well. Currently quickest in the session. We're following the Kelso electrical car. He's a Dandenong Road, the left-hander. Put the power down out of that, and then there's this final awkward complex to go. The chicane right, then left. That long opening corner, you go over the old causeway, famous part of Sandown, right there. River runs underneath and then race towards the start-finish line. And the lap time for Brad Schumacher's a 9.2. It's an improvement. His margin is now 4/10 of a second over Liam Talbot. Steve Brooks goes to second with a 9.6.
And keep an eye out for Renee Gracie. She's just gone fastest overall to the end of the second sector, so she's not far away here from finishing the lap. I'd say she'll be in that final chicane, and she doesn't improve, so some issue in that final sector, but she was looking really good to go somewhere near the top of the charts. As Liam Talbot now fastest in the first sector with a 26.2. Steve Brooks 26.3 in the first sector. Brad Schumacher 26.4. So they're all within a tenth and a half of each other in that first sector. I feel like we're kind of watching a bit of a race out there. There's just a nice battle pack. And there is Brad Schumacher heading into Dandenong Road. Followed in closely behind is Liam Talbot.
The Aston's the one to watch here. He's given away a big chunk of time in that middle sector, though, towards the pace. So he's just backed out of it a little bit, and with some traffic in front as well in the form of Brad Schumacher, the provisional pole sitter. 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go. This is the raciest the Aston Martin has looked in dry conditions this year, and Talbot goes second. He gave away a little bit of time in the middle sector, but dragged it back in the final and misses out, beating Brad Schumacher by 0.1 of a second.
But what's interesting is the fastest middle sector is a 16.3, and Talbot's middle sector on that lap then was a 17.6. So that lap alone, he was 1.3 seconds slower than what Renee Gracie's achieved. So
seems like a lot.
It does, doesn't it?
Seems like a real lot.
1.3 seconds in a 16-second sector. So I'm not quite sure.
Well, Elliott Shute has just gone through there. He's on a personal best lap, 16.9 in the middle sector, and Shute goes quickest in the Ferrari. So 109.17 pulls a tenth of a second out of Schumacher, and Ferrari looking to grab a double pole position for the second time this season. The young West Aussie has done it. It's been building for a little while, hasn't it? He's been nibbling away at it lap after lap, but on his 9th lap of the session, Elliott Shute has delivered.
He shoots to the top. on that lap with a 109.1, and he's gone even faster in the first sector on this lap.
Oh, Thomas. So he is pushing on, going on with it. It shows the durability of this Pirelli tyre, that you can get 4, maybe 5 push laps out of it in these conditions, especially being so cold today, both track temperature and ambient. Personal best middle sector.
It's a good lap, this one.
Under 17s. Gets the car stopped and turned. A little bit of oversteer on the exit. The front, the rear trying to overtake the front in the Arise Racing Ferrari. Final complex. Schumacher's pushing on with it too. He's in the middle sector of the lap. They'll get a couple more goes at it if they want, but they're going to get to the point where they start taking the best out of the tyre now at the end of this session. Shoot does not improve that final sector. Little wobble coming out of Dandenong Road, I think, cost him some time.
Schumacher on a personal best to the end of the second sector. Currently sits 1/10 of a second behind Elliott Shute. And here is the 888 Kelso Electrical Audi and the Shannons Volante Rosso Aston Martin of Talbot. Talbot not on a personal best lap, but the car in front is this car right here, the 888 Audi, as he crosses the line with just under a minute and a half to go. What time is it? Not quick enough. Loses some time in the final sector, 109.379. So there's just under a quarter of a second covering the top 3, Krause.
Still an outstanding performance from Steve Brooks to be 4th quickest in the Wolfbrook Racing number 88 car. Just 0.4 of a second away from Elliott Shute. It's Ferrari, Audi, Aston Martin 1, 2 and 3. The first of the Mercedes AMGs is Sergio Perez.
We've got a spinner in the background there.
Off the road is one of the Mercs on the run down towards turn 2. And it's the supermarket car of James Konduras, who's currently P3 in the AM class. It'll be nice and warm for the grass down there at turn 1, but he's got that car refired. And the session will continue. Only 40 seconds to go. Brooks is looking to improve. He's on a personal best lap at the moment.
Oh, big moment for Talbot, and he's gone round at Dandenong Road. He's lost the rear on the way in.
And that will ruin the lap for Brooks and also Sergio Perez, who was on to improve. So that'll be very costly.
Got to be careful here. It's blind here. There's an Audi approaching. Just got to wait, be really careful. Okay, now. But it's so hard to see as a driver because...
Just done it.
Just got it.
But it killed some laps there, that yellow flag. Badly timed for Sergio Perez, who was on to improve. He's P5, which is a big job for Sergio after a tough start to the weekend. But the Wolfbrook Audi was on for some improvement as well, but had to give away a second in that final sector. Did he just get to the line? Because Brooksy's still pressing on here.
He's staying up it.
I wonder if he just got to the line.
He did.
Before the checkered flag drop. So could be one last roll of the dice to try and get maybe one position, possibly 2. Get on the front row of the grid for Stephen Brooks, the Kiwi.
So at the moment, it's Elliott Shute on top from Brad Schumacher, Liam Talbot, who's just pitted. Steve Brooks, Sergio Perez, Donaldson, Lucchini, Gracie, Konduras, Woodman, Seedy, Stupas and Wyatt. And we're just following... Was that a little hand out the window there?
I think it was
from the 888.
Friendly wave.
Friendly
just
wave?
As Sergio Perez ducked out of the way of Brad Schumacher.
I don't think this is... Yeah, he's hitting.
Brad's going to miss by 1/10 of a second. It's a double pole for Ferrari. Steve Brooks will cross the line. Can he jump up a spot? Not with that final lap. The best of the Pirelli's gone for the Wolfbrook Racing Audi R8. Still P4. Big job for the New Zealander. He and Ryan Wood look in great shape this weekend. The top 3 though, Ferrari, Audi and Aston Martin, and Elliott Shute locks in his 3rd GT World Challenge Australia powered by AWS pole position. And it's a double pole for Arise Racing across their 2 cars. Jordan Love doing the business in qualifying 1. Schumacher 2nd, Talbot 3rd, looking good. He and Jamie Day, Brooks, Perez, Grant Donaldson on pole in the AM class for 111 Racing. Great to see them back and great to see them hugely competitive. Paul Lucchini out of 7th. Jaden Ojeda can work with that for sure. Renee Gracie 2nd in the AM class in front of James Konduras. Shane Woodman rounded out the top 10. Mark Sini was 11th. Matt Stupas, trophy class contender in 12th. Stephen Wyatt 13th. And the Team BRM car failed to complete a lap. Rusty?
They're pretty happy to Rise Racing, Lance East Exotics, because they have a pole position apiece for each of their cars. You can take that, Elliott Shute. That's got to feel pretty damn good to do that.
Yeah, it feels really good. It's my first time here, so I was sort of learning the track for the most part of yesterday. We made a decision to go on greens, which scared me at the beginning, but I think it was the right call. It's just really hard to get temperature in the tyres. But yeah, the guys have done such an awesome job to set it up over the course of yesterday, so I'm just grateful I get to drive it.
Great stuff. What was the sort of message from Jackson when he got out of session 1, things like that to prep you for it, given the kind of limited running that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, he's been helping me all over the course of yesterday to kind of figure out how to drive it, because I was a fair way off in the first practice session, but it was also his call to go onto the greens. He thought there was a fair bit of time there, so it's credit to him.
Okay. I don't know how you do it. You're keeping the heart rate down. You have pole position, mate. Great work. Congratulations. We're going to grab a break here. When we come back, Trico Trans Am Racing, live here at Sandown.